26th at approximately 11:20 a.m., emergency personnel from the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service and the Winnipeg Police Service responded to a catastrophic fire event involving a residence in the 100 block of Camrose Bay. General Patrol members from our East District Station responded immediately and managed the scene, ensuring public safety and allowing WFPS crews to fight the fire. Upon arrival, it was determined that a residence had exploded, leaving only parts of the foundation intact. Debris has been located throughout the neighborhood, and nearby homes have sustained various property damage. Investigators have identified and safely located the occupants of the home. At this time, no serious injuries have been reported. The cause of the explosion remains under investigation by the WPS Major Crimes Unit in collaboration with the WFPS Fire Investigations Branch, the bomb unit, and the Forensic Identification Section. We would ask anyone with information or video surveillance that may assist investigators to call 204-986-6219. That's our Major Crimes Unit. Crime Stoppers at 204-TIPS-8477 or online at winnipegcrimestoppers.org. So again, obviously, we're 24 hours into this investigation, very, very early stages. As you can see behind me, a catastrophic explosion to a residence occurred yesterday around this time, almost exactly around this time. Our efforts are continuing. We're here to support the community that are struggling. They're struggling with what's happened on their beautiful neighborhood here in Transcona, and we're going to do everything we can to help and support them. As far as the investigation goes, limited information to share right now. I guess the two big things in the release right now are the fact that the occupants of the home, my understanding, a male and a female who would normally be in the residence, have been located. They've been identified, and we are speaking to them. And as far as the investigation continuing, like I said, by members of our Major Crimes Unit and in collaboration with the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, our Forensic Unit, and our bomb unit. Obviously, all of these units bring on a lot of expertise with respect to events like this. So I'll take some questions. I have another release that's tied to this as well, but I'll kind of keep them separate.
Is there anything criminal suspected?
At this time, there is nothing that I can provide you that can confirm or deny that. Right now, we're in the early stages of the investigation. We're not going to leave any informational bit of knowledge that we can bring to the table. We're not going to leave any stone unturned at this point. If the investigation is going to guide us in the direction that it needs to, right now, we've had a catastrophic event in a residential neighborhood, and we're doing everything in our power to determine what was the cause. Houses don't just explode. There is a reason for it. And what that reason is yet to be determined.
And you said the occupants are normally home at that time. So is this just luck?
Well, I can't quite say. I mean, I say a male and female who normally reside in the home. So we have, I think there's I believe it's an adult male, adult female that, like all of us, come and go from our residence. They weren't home at the time. We did locate them safe, uninjured, and not believed to be in the residence, obviously, at the time. So conversations with those individuals are ongoing.
What's their relationship?
I believe a father-daughter.
And so the father, I guess, is the homeowner?
My understanding, yes.
And so what have you heard from him in all this? Like, where's he at?
Too early for me to say at this point. All I'm going to acknowledge is that conversations with that individual are ongoing. We're going to try and gather as much information as we can with respect to, like any investigation. If I can just generalize for a minute. If an event occurs, we're going to speak to anyone in this community, and we've spoken to a lot of people. What did they see? What did they hear before they left? Any information that might help us move this investigation forward with respect to what took place.
I was more so asking, like, what was his reaction? What was the man's reaction, I guess, when you had told him, like, some neighbors said he had shown up here later in the evening and found out that his house had exploded, I guess what was his reaction when officers
I
stopped?
don't think I have an exact quote to provide you, but I think it's pretty safe to say what would any of our reaction be to something like this, and I think it would be very upsetting. Chris?
Oh, I was just going to ask, when the explosion happened, the two occupants, you know where they were at the time?
I don't know, but again, they were identified and located sometime after the event took place. They've spoken to investigators, and I can assure you they'll be continuing to speak with investigators as this investigation unfolds.
Is there any one cause that is sort of, the suspected cause at the moment? Is there one thing that sort of stands out from other potential causes?
No, I mean, obviously, we've had an explosion. So, I mean, there's a number of things that we're going to be looking at. I'm not a fire investigator. I'm a police officer, and I'll generalize through any investigation. We're going to look at any and all potential causes for this fire. Are we looking at gas or electrical? Are we looking at any other factors potentially? Those are all going to form a part of our investigation. We're not going to jump to conclusions. We're not going to speculate what took place. That's not how we investigate. We're going to be very thorough and methodical. And I can tell you, and I don't think anyone here will dispute me on it, this is an incredibly complex investigation. When we have an explosion of this nature, and we have a debris field, and I believe Chief Wilkinson yesterday just spoke on this so well yesterday. The debris field was potentially blocks away. So again, it's catastrophic in nature, and for us to piece this together so quickly, it's not going to happen. We're going to be in the area for days, potentially weeks. It could be even longer with respect to the answers that we all want right now, but it's just not going to happen. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good thing.
To my knowledge, it was yesterday, and whether it was a short time after, whether it was hours after, I would have to find that out exactly. I don't want to be, I don't want to confirm that, but sometime after the explosion, and I would have to look into that. And that's probably the best, I can provide at this point.
The homeowner providing investigators with information.
I think there's already needs to be done.
Okay. Or is the homeowner just as in shock?
Well, I think there is a level of shock. I can't speak on the conversation directly. It would be inappropriate for me to get into those details. But I'm hopeful and we're optimistic that the homeowner will provide us with all the information that they can to move our investigation forward. We want facts, we want truth, and we're hopeful that anyone who's witnessed it, again, the owners, any information that they can provide us to move this investigation forward is greatly appreciated, and we're very optimistic that will happen. Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any specific website?
Nothing at this point. I think we have to be, in investigations like this, we have to be very open-minded. We have a lot of area experts on the scene here. Like I mentioned, first and foremost, Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Fire Investigations Branch. Those individuals, this is what they do. Incredibly knowledgeable. They're going to examine the scene, and they're going to make certain assessments and determinations based on what we're dealing with, the aftermath. We have members of our bomb unit who are very well versed in explosive devices, obviously. We have members of our Major Crimes Unit who actively are involved in major investigations on a daily basis. So we have some awesome people that are going to put the pieces of this puzzle together. And again, I was speaking to area residents just a little while ago, and I think if there's any message that we really want to get across today is to provide them with that reassurance. If this happened in my community, I would want that reassurance. So they're kind of our priority right now, as you can well imagine, and they need answers, and we're going to do our very best to help them get those answers and the resources that they need right now. I know insurance companies will step up, but there could be some other areas that they need assistance in, and if it's just a simple question, I'm all ears. Yeah.
How would you describe that? Standard,
I would say more of a standard. I mean, you got to understand the training, the type of training that the bomb unit undergoes. They're very well versed in explosions and things that even after the fact, right? That they're gonna receive training, in that area that most of us are not going to have. And so to have that area expertise, to work collaboratively with other investigators, I think is truly a bonus with respect to this investigation. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Manitoba Hydro is going to be a partner in this. We're going to be collaborating with them. They're going to have individuals within Manitoba Hydro that are going to have levels of expertise with respect to the work that they do. So we'll be collaborating with them. Definitely, if we haven't already, which I think we have. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts here. Again, we just want all members of the public, specifically this community, to know that we're committed to finding out what's taken place here, provide them with that reassurance, and provide the public as a whole, answers as to what was the cause. But we're not going to jump to conclusions. We're not going to speculate at this point. We're going to just be very open-minded and respectful to the entire scene and everyone directly involved, and take it from there. Yeah. Well, it'll be more than days. It's going to be weeks, and it's potentially months. So weeks and months. I'm going to say months. I'm going to say months. Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to take some time.
The scene. Do you know how long this will be held?
Yeah. Awesome question. Okay, so what's going to happen today? I know we want to help and support some of the residents in here. I know there's an area resident that wants to get a vehicle out that is functional. We have MPI that wants to get another vehicle out that's clearly not functional. We have a demolition crew, and I use that word just because that's kind of how we titled them, but they're going to be here when the scene is ultimately released, because what the area residents are going to see probably throughout the day are a number of investigators on scene. They're going to see members of our Major Crimes Unit, they're going to see members of our bomb unit, and our forensic identification section. They're all working collaboratively, when that scene is released, then the demo crew will come in and start the cleanup. Let's just call it a bit of a cleanup. So what's going to happen is this scene is going to get pushed back, for obvious reasons, because there could be some other equipment coming in here, clearly a tow truck or two. Yeah, I would encourage you, any shots that you're going to get them now, because this perimeter will probably get expanded, certainly on this block in the next little while. But that'll be up to the investigators to make that call.
You were saying to the residents a little while ago that the debris, some of it could have ended up blocks away, possibly. If somebody is living blocks away and they do find something in their yard or wherever, any advice to them? What they
really good question. Great question, Chris, and I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, not something I had in my notes, but if anybody spots anything in their yard that obviously wasn't there previously, and if it does appear to be some debris associated to yesterday's event, just put it aside. You don't need, if it's in your way, push it aside. Don't, you don't have to touch it. Contact our Major Crimes Unit, 204-986-6219, and we'll make arrangements for that item to be picked up, or at least officers attend and determine whether or not it's something we need to seize as part of our investigation. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a resident.
Okay.
2 houses over.
Yeah.
Just safety of the residents. I just have a question. I know you said the bomb unit was in here.
Yeah.
Or has been. Like, is there any concern of any other activity along these lines? They haven't. No. There's safety and everybody's okay in our homes.
We have no information right now that there's a threat to the community or safety is being compromised moving forward. This area is safe. We've determined that if there was ever a moment where we felt there was a continued threat, someone would be knocking on your door and letting you know immediately. Right now, we're at the investigation stage. Right now, you're looking at the aftermath. It's ugly. There's a lot of emotion associated to that. So whatever we can do to answer some of those questions for you, just please let us know, and we'll get those those answers for you.
Thank
So.
you. Sorry to
Oh no! Hey,
yeah,
if anybody
I had
deserves to ask a question, it's
I
you.
was like, am I allowed to ask a
no,
question?
Absolutely. Ask
Okay.
any questions. I'll do my best to answer them for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, you bet.
Thank you.
I had just one last one.
Not necessarily. When I say just the perimeter, just to allow crews to either move debris, it'll be less of a crime scene as opposed to more of a hazard. Maybe the best way, where we don't want anyone to get hurt because of the equipment. So the scene hasn't been released yet, and that'll be up to investigators. Once the scene is released, then you're going to start seeing some of that other equipment. Then it becomes a little bit hazardous, and yeah, we want to be very careful that no one gets hurt.
Do you know how many homes, neighboring homes, or how many people
have been displaced? That's a great question. I don't think I have that number. I think, I would be guessing, and I don't want to, because you got to understand the nature of this explosion may have impacted a house across the street, but maybe a house right nearby wasn't impacted. So it could be there could be a house a block over that some damage may have happened. A fire, I know, there was someone's deck on fire. There was a garage issues. I'm looking even in existence. Roofs that have damage, and obviously there's some concern there. So hard for me to say, but we talk about dozens of homes potentially, but I'm speculating, and I shouldn't do that. So
has something like this ever happened in the city in a residential neighborhood, or?
I think we have had incidents where this is not something that happens very often. For me to pick one right out of my brain here right now would be difficult to say, but have we had major events similar to this, or this is pretty catastrophic. This is one of the worst that I've seen, for sure.
And just to follow on that, when officers were on scene here and crews were here, what was their reaction to what they had seen at this house?
Well, I can only imagine. I was looking, through a similar lens as probably most Winnipeggers yesterday. Videos that were coming in, and my jaw was definitely open. And I know when officers, we had members of our East District Station attend the scene pretty quickly, first and foremost to ensure the safety of the area residents, secure the area, and then allow Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service to get in here and manage the fire. So, despite the work that they need to do, I'm sure they were pretty shocked to what they saw, and because I did see some information coming in the call history, and it was significant, but we have work to do, right? We can be shocked and in awe as all we want. We have to look after the residents in this community that are directly impacted. So there's no time for pausing. We gotta get in and get to work and do what we gotta do. So, I spoke to the resident right next door, and had some conversations with him, and he's obviously very concerned about his home, as he should be. So we want to provide him with some information, and I think he's just here to my left. He deserves all the answers in the world, and we're going to do our best to help him out with respect to some of the cleanup that's going to be happening, I would assume, later today. So so we all just have to be patient. We have to rely on each other, and just trust the work of the Winnipeg Police Service and the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service. There's some awesome ladies and gentlemen that are part of our organization. They're incredibly passionate about what they do. They're very good at what they do. We're just going to need the time to sort through this unfortunate mess.
Sorry if I missed it.
Yeah.
If you mentioned it, but you said the people who live in that home, a man and a daughter. Is the daughter daughter, child? I
believe it an adult, yeah. But I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. The folk, again, I'm just pleased that they're okay. We've been able to make contact with them, and really, first and foremost, we're really happy they weren't at home, and we're really happy that we're not reporting any fatalities or serious injuries today. That is definitely the silver lining, without a doubt. Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it. So yeah, please be respectful of the perimeter. Please be respectful of the area residents, like you always are, I'm sure. And we'll kind of get through the day here. The perimeter will change, and it'll be pretty fluid throughout the day. Thank you.
Drone?
Oh, there was a 1 second item. just want to mention, and again, this is some messaging. I'm going to go through this really quick, and I'm not going to read the release unless somebody wants me to read the release. But it's just with respect to the operation of private drones. And this is specific to emergency operations. Yesterday, members of the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service did have a drone in the air during the fire, or certainly afterwards. I can't give you an exact timeline. That's a crucial piece of equipment that is very important, not only with respect to fighting the fire, but certainly as an investigative tool after the fact. Now, if members of the public, and I know we live in a world right now where technology is incredible, and we want to get that perfect shot, and we want to post that on social media and be the first one. However, we certainly don't want to be doing that at the expense of the safety of others, and certainly at the expense of an investigation. So, friendly messaging. We put some of this friendly messaging out before at other events, but drone use is prohibited during emergency operations, above crowds. The list goes on and on. There's a link with respect to Transport Canada. People can be heavily fined as a result. It's not difficult to identify who they are. So please be mindful of flying your drone anywhere for that matter. Just make sure you're doing it in a safe and appropriate way. Certainly not over a major event like yesterday. So we had the WFPS drone up. They also had ladders up as well. So yeah, it's just a recipe for disaster. We were dealing with a lot yesterday. We don't need to be worrying about something else in the air that we're not familiar with. So,
has anybody been spoken to, or is anybody?
I think we're working on that. Yeah. We're working on that. We had a similar incident. I think I put some messaging out during the wait-out parties, drones over crowds, and I mean, even with those drones, they malfunction in any way. We don't need them landing on anyone, or again, making a bad situation worse. So. That's a secondary release, related, somewhat unrelated, but I think it's important that we get that out. Okay? Awesome. Thank you all. Any other questions? You can forward them to the office. We'll do our best. And for now, that's where we stand. Okay? Thanks. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, through Billy. She probably, I think I'm doing the 1 o'clock. Yeah, with